Yes.
Yeah, I heard everything that y'all said. I heard everything y'all said. I just wanted to add to what Reverend Valentine said and what you brothers shared is that, in my opinion, the information can only come from two sources, and both are primary. Scholarly information is culled from the look at primary sources of information, and the other form of information comes from initiation. When your mind is initiated, you automatically fragment reality in a form that is palatable and understandable to the mechanism in the universe that's a call and response. Only the initiated mind can call into the ether something and expect to see it, because it's based off of you divorcing yourself from the actual intent factor. So uninitiated people, they say things into the universe, they light a candle, and they come back to the candle every 10 minutes to see and check on it and see if the candle is going to bring them what they want. You understand? So what we're seeing is people are becoming more mechanized without content, mechanized in their actions, but you ask them, where did this come from? And they're saying, hey, I just put this up. Well, that practice is the practice of uninitiated people, and this is why it is so popular and familiar to European and Eurocentric magis. All of Aleister Crowley's work is garbage. All of the Western magic, with an exception for the dialogue, in my opinion, of Paul Foster Case, Dion Fortune, and Percival, who wrote Thinking in Destiny, that and some of Manly P. Hall, he writes so well he was able to cloak everything. He never spoke about Freemasonry in none of his books on Freemasonry. So, but outside of that, all of that stuff is garbage. The real magic is predicated on African thinking, African thought pattern that mimics the myth lore taught to you as a child. Your mother is your first psychiatrist, psychologist, your first practitioner to teach you, via your mouth, how your body is going to wrap itself around the myth that undergirds your culture. So we pushing out, I want to inaugurate a culture of scholarship where people, I used to walk around with books, you heard, when it wasn't popular to do that. And people are not walking around with books, they're walking around with will-o'-the-wisp, uninitiated thoughts, and everyone had this new thing. Because of Facebook, people feel the liberty just to ask you a question about some shit that they could figure out on their own. Like, I be wanting to put, Google that shit. Don't ask me no stupid shit like that, please. You heard? Why is the earth round, Brother Rashid? As though, as though that is one of my, one of my expert points is to answer all these, these crazy questions. You know what I mean? So, again, the dialogue and who's having the dialogue is important. And I pray for the people in our community who attend lectures where they're actually not talking about anything whatsoever. There's not even any palatable history. And then there's nothing centered around the children. None of these great of the new dudes that's stepping out, swinging off the hip, none of them have created nothing to address the next problem, which is what the youth are going to do with the world that you didn't do nothing with. You heard? So the next step is initiation. I want to hear our the culture of scholarship to now create the new doctrine, which is the doctrine of initiation. And we have to start presenting to the community at large. For the sisters who saying that they're teaching, I want to see the sisters create a rite of passage. I want the elite women to create a rite of passage. The same way niggas turn into closet Christians every December and start buying niggas gifts and start playing with Kwanzaa and all that old cornball shit. Start celebrating your children at the critical ages when they become developed and wrapped around the idea of themselves. At 3, at 7, at 14, at 21, they should have a series of initiations and bar mitzvah-like situations where groups of men put their money together and give to a young man as an emblem that they support them. Model behavior creates better behavior in the community, and you have to give children, what's that when you give people something in hopes that they do better? a sense of what's that? Incentive. You understand? Incentive is the
one second, family. There's 3 minutes left. I want to inform the family that we are going into the 12 o'clock hour, so you don't need to hang up. You won't be cut off. We will be streaming. Okay, the only time that we're going to take a break is the 11:11 meditation. So please sit tight, continue, and please continue, Brother Rashid.
Can I add on, Rashid, Brother Rashid?
Yeah, go ahead, my beloved.
I want to interject an idea into the family's head, sort of like, Inception. I had an idea that at these lectures that we always give, that we've been giving for many years, we should start implementing a program where we create a pool, because remember, we all know that it only takes $300 to $500 to start a business. We should have a program where you bring your children who are working on entities, businesses, products, and things of that nature, and we actually, at halftime or before the lecture or even after the lecture, we hold a raffle or we hold sort of a competition or whatever it may be, and that the youth are able to present to the family their ideas, and at the end of the day, we can fund at least one business.
That's excellent, and make a business wrapped around making the children's what they create something as a viable resource. You heard, as something that they could sell. That's how you. There's a culture. Culture is predicated on commerce. People that don't have a commerce, they don't have a culture, because culture and commerce is connected to calendar. A calendar system was integrated in every social setting to create a commercial cycle. So our commercial cycle and our calendar walk hand in hand. We're the only ones that don't utilize the calendar. Look at the Mayan. Look at the Mayan calendar and look at the emblem in the center of it. Do you see the face sticking his tongue out?
Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why he's sticking his tongue out is because that's what happens when you change. Your physical body makes changes, and that generates what the calendar inculcates. So they knew that there was a 5, a pentad associated with it, and I'm going to be speaking about this weekend at the Carafe Center here in Los Angeles on Sunday, how we've been utilizing the word love inappropriately, and that's why everybody that loves you is the one that hates you or hurts you in some capacity. We don't have a culture of love. And love is based on limitations, and it don't mean at the end of the world because the Mayans stopped at the number 5, because the number 5 is the end of beauty. Beauty ends at 5, and that is one of the key mysteries within the numerics, in the numerology of spirituality, is that pentad is the perfect limit. There's beauty within limitation. Golden section and all that's based off of imposing limits. You heard? So now the concept of an unconditional love is that of a slave like mine. That's something that's in a different pantheon and a different resonance of thought. But in the physical dynamic, this has to have limitations, rules, regulations, things that are, standards. You know what I'm saying? And what occurs is, in this world, we don't really love each other. People be talking about they love each other, but the word love, it doesn't exist in the past, the present, or the future, as in certain grammatical, they call it the pluperfect. A pluperfect is a word or a grammatical construct that, but what you're saying, you know that it exists in the past, in the present, and the future. Love is just something that people is playing with. So I'm going into the numerics of love, the numerology of it, and what does it mean when you say it? When you're actually saying it, you're not saying love. You're creating a field of energy that's saying something else. You heard? So we're going to explore that, and then we're going to get into the psychodynamics of what's going on in the West Coast culture in reference to the gang culture. It's very important that I speak about how I'm not afraid, you heard, because we're talking about little babies involved, you heard. How is it that I don't come from a culture where the big homie could be approached by the police, you heard? Over here, they accepting where the big homie could be approached by the police, and the police could tell the big homie who's doing this or who's doing that, you heard? Meanwhile, everybody in the street is suffering, and the brothers in the jail are still getting shot down from the towers from the white folks, like they were doing in the 60s. You heard? So why is it that the gang members have more of a control over the people's children than the parents, and it's because of love. You heard? It's love. What is the gang member willing to demonstrate that the parent isn't? Because, I mean, come on. Why is a grown man can't tell his son what to do, but the big homie could tell his son to go kill somebody? Help me understand that. And the big homie is addicted to drugs, or the big homie smoke elephant tranquilizer, my nigga. You heard? You know what elephant tranquilizer is? PCP. So that don't qualify you as being no fucking gangster. You smoke elephant tranquilizer, my nigga. You heard? So why is the nigga that smoke elephant tranquilizer allowed to tell your child who and who not to kill? It's because you ain't doing something in the crib. You heard? And it's dealing with love. It's our concept of it. It's not working, and we're trying to take our kids someplace else, to a place that we don't even want to be at. Trust me. You heard? All this comes from a lack of communication. And the culture of scholarship is to create a bigger and a better dialogue. My generation, we are not catering to no dialogue about which gender is God at the cusp of 2012. You heard? The masters bodied that 20 years ago. You heard? When are we going to speak about the industry of there's one company in China that creates every single computer device that you got. You heard? They got the word Fox in their name. You heard? One person, like one group, is in charge of all of that. We are still dialoguing about religion, and we have not yet had the dialogue about the industry of technology. We're not sending children. We want liberation, but want to be broke, but don't want to send the kids to the children to the environment where they can truly compete. We're trying to disable them with that bullshit history, you heard? Where nobody's using history. When is niggas going to implement Hannibal Barker's legacy? What is the purpose of history? For you to turn your back to it and mock it and don't do nothing? You understand? So what are we going to send children to? I'm in support of Ivy League type education. You heard? I don't want to have a dialogue with nobody that mastered everything. That is Moorish. I don't want to have a dialogue with people whose children are straight A students in the public school system and they think that that's all right. Okay? You crazy? You crazy? The higher you go, those people are having a dialogue that does not include you or your children. We are in a culture of exploitation. The Jordanians, the Yemenis, everybody comes over here because the biggest joke on the planet is that niggas will buy anything. You heard? They'll buy anything. You heard? They'll buy it in twos. They'll buy it on sale. They'll buy it at the highest rate. They don't care. They're going to buy it because they don't love themselves. You heard? So that's the dialogue we having this Sunday, you know what I mean, as it relates to this, because the people are no longer going to want to hear no weird doctrines. You heard? They're going to want to hear the primary sources of information coming from the initiated minds and those people who have been vouched for by the true master. You feel me?
All day. All day.
Word up. That's the dialogue I want to have. I want to have a dialogue on how is it that, so we're going to go in Sunday. You heard? We're going to go in on Sunday. Real talk. But, you know, I just really want to hear Reverend Valentine. I've been getting so many people emailing me